Hello everyone, Meta Plus Meditation here. It is the 11th Sunday of Ordinary Time, June the 16th, halfway through the month of June. First reading is taken from the prophet Ezekiel. I myself will take a sprig from the lofty top of a cedar. I will set it out. I will break off a tender one from the topmost of its young twigs. I myself will plant it on a high and lofty mountain a little further down. All the trees of the field shall know that I am the Lord. I will bring low the high tree, and I will make high the low tree. Okay, so it's all a metaphor here, an allegory. What the context of this is a bad time in the history of Israel. Because of their sin, let's always remember this. God hasn't been mean. Because of their sin, they basically have sold themselves into slavery. So the southern kingdom, the northern kingdom, the southern, everything looks really bleak, like the house of David is going to disappear forever. So that's in a general high level, that's the context of this prophecy. And Ezekiel says, all the trees so I myself will take a sprig from the lofty top of the cedar. I will set it out. I will break off a tender branch from the topmost of its twigs, and I will plant it on a high mountain. So God is saying, now, the religious leaders would have understood this. They just would have thought Ezekiel was bonkers, that he was out of touch, that he was in some sort of poetical fancy, flight somewhere. But what he's saying, and they understand, is that the house of David will endure. God will be faithful to his promises, no matter how bleak, how hopeless this all looks, and it looked pretty hopeless. That he will be faithful and he will continue the line of David. So the successor of David will happen. Now, this takes faith, right? You're in the midst of this. This is nonsense. For hundreds of years will this happen, right? So talk about faith, because we know in hindsight, this is why we should read the scriptures and get a biblical worldview. Because we know that the Messiah would come, Jesus Christ would come, and he would be the son of David. But in the meantime, God will be faithful to his promises. That's why we need to read the scriptures, right? And acquire that biblical worldview and be attentive to the things that God is doing in our life. So everything is not hopeless. It may seem hopeless. It may be disastrous. We need to look for the signs that God is giving to us. And he will give those signs. God is not a God of hopelessness. He's a God of hope. Second reading, 2 Corinthians chapter 5. So whether we are at home or away, we make it our aim to please him. For all must appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each may receive recompense for what he or she has done in the body, whether good or evil. So this is a call to us, to vigilance, to faith, being faithful today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about yesterday. Today. To be faithful and vigilant today. Because basically, we will all one day have to appear before the judgment seat of Christ. So every day we get out of bed, we need to pray to be faithful today. All right. Padre Pio's prayer, yesterday belongs to your mercy, today to your love, tomorrow to your providence. Try to remember that today to your love. God will give us the grace we need in his love to be faithful today. So make it your aim, as St. Paul says, to please him. Okay, over to the gospel, Mark chapter 4. Such a large crowd gathered around Jesus that he got into a boat and began to teach them using many parables. So a man would scatter seed on the ground. He would sleep night and day. The seed would sprout and grow without his knowing how. The earth produces of itself first the stalk, then the head, then the full grain in the head. But when the grain is ripe, at once he goes in with the sickle, because the harvest has come. He also teaches about the mustard seed as well. There's lots here for us. But I'm just going to reflect on a large crowd gathered around him. He got into a boat and began to teach them using many parables. So basically, our Lord had to do this from a physical point of view, but this is also a teaching for us that many times what we have to do, if the crowd represents busyness and the needs that we have, the needs that have to be met, the answers, to situations and so on, we need to step back at times, our daily prayer. Even in specific instances, when you are unsure, don't make a decision. say, I need a bit of time to think and reflect and pray on this, to discern this, and then do that. Like go away and to a quiet place. Sometimes there may be split-second decisions that are required of us, but if you need time, then insist and demand on time. Because we need to go away, get into our boat, and reflect, pray, recollect the scattered pieces. Like I said, I think this past week, sometimes even, whether you do this mentally or in a physical way, write down pros and cons. What's being asked of us. So the important thing is that we are aware of the fact that we shouldn't always be, snapping off answers to questions or difficult situations that we are in, but rather take the time to get into your boat and reflect and pray. God bless you.